Hey everyone, it's been a while since I've done a video. Took a little break. It's been kind of hectic around here, so I apologize for the delay in videos. Today, I just wanted to talk about kind of a couple of things that kind of go hand in hand. That's our relationships and identity and purpose. And of course, as always, I try to wrap these into more of the first responder lifestyle because, especially with identity and purpose, they have such a heavy meaning, and people often get them confused. But I wanted to tie everything in with, in regards to all that in relationships. So in the first responder world, a lot of people don't, those who are in it don't understand how much it does affect our lives. And for those of us who grew up in it, we almost don't realize it even more. And so one of the things that always strikes me when I talk to people, and I just had a conversation the last day or so with a friend about relationships, specifically marriage, regardless of how that marriage looks or significant relationship looks, you and your spouse go through more of it than any other part really of your family. And the job sort of becomes what a lot of us feel is our identity and our purpose. And when you take a situation like mine and so many others that have had to leave the job because of PTSD and other mental illness, struggles, we tend to lose our identity. So when I got off the job in 2017, that was all I knew. I knew the fire world. I knew the EMS world. I grew up around it with my family. That was all I knew. My friends were all from the job. My family was all pretty much on the job. And when I left, not only was there, the piece where nobody was really supporting me, but there was the piece where now that I'm not doing the job, who am I? And because of not knowing who I was, that put an immense stressor on my marriage. And in talking with the friend that I have in the last day or so, one of the things we discussed was, how do you help your spouse? We're just going to go with it as spouse for now. How do you help your spouse find their purpose and their identity once the job is no longer there? And I don't really think there's a straight up answer to that, because everyone is, for the most part, different when it comes to finding their path in life. Once you sort of hit rock bottom with, if it's PTSD and, mental illness or drinking and drugging or, whatever it may be, everyone kind of has a different way of walking down that path. For me, with all the, from 2015 up to now, when I left the job in 2017, I had done a shit ton of work on my traumas. Not as much as I did after, but I had done quite a bit, and I thought I was in a good position. So when I left, I was sort of kind of left out to dry, I guess, in a way. I had no support from the job. The only person who really supported me was my spouse, but even she was having a hard time because she didn't know what to do. I was struggling with identity. The job was gone. I was no longer a firefighter. I was no longer an EMT. And because of that, I lost a lot of respect and a lot of communication with those who were still on the job. And that put a huge amount of stress on my marriage. And it wasn't until most recent times, and I will be completely honest with us, this was last summer. Now, mind you, I had gotten better in life. I had leveled things out to a point, but I still hadn't dealt with really figuring out who I was. What is my identity? Who am I? What is my purpose? Why do I exist? Dennis Ricci wrote that purpose is why I exist, why I'm here now. More of an intrinsic self, like function, doing, but it comes from when it comes to identity, it's more of a state of being, like the confidence from within, like, who am I? And for years, a lot of us, but specifically me, for years, I thought that my purpose was to be a firefighter and EMT. My purpose was to serve others in that manner. Frontline EMS, frontline firefighter, that was my purpose. My identity was I was a firefighter. I was a father and I was a husband, a son, whatever. That was my identity. And it wasn't until last summer, so the summer of 2021, that when I started using mindfulness and meditation, and I don't mean to keep preaching it, but I use it every day. When I really started looking at myself from the inside, I realized that my purpose was never defined by the job I did. Who we are as an identity is not defined by the hat we wear for whatever job we're doing. That is who you are as a person. And these days, for me, to kind of put more of a definition to all this, I know as an identity that I'm a strong, compassionate, loving, caring person who is willing to put himself out there in a transparent and vulnerable way, because I know what it's like to not have that support. Yeah, sure. With identity comes the fact that I am a husband. I am a father. I am a son. I'm a friend. Sure, that's all part of the identity, but the identity itself, the core of your identity of who you are, is what assets and values make you as a person. Your strengths, even your weaknesses, are all what makes your identity. Your purpose is a little bit harder, and I think a lot of people struggle to find what their purpose is. I know what my purpose is. I'm currently doing what my purpose is, and I'm completely happy with what I feel my purpose now is in life. And because of that, because of looking deeper at what my identity is, looking deeper at what my purpose is, and being happy with it, being at peace with it, has aided in my relationship with my wife. And as much as a lot of us like to think that, our spouses will be there no matter what, when we're battling, all the traumas aside, when we're battling, we're trying to figure out who we really are as men and women, our spouses take some of the biggest hits, because it ends up being one of the biggest struggles we go through once we've sort of tamed, the demons, once we've sort of kind of calmed down all the dark times, and we've kind of, figured out where we've been and why we've gone through what we have. Then we have to figure out what our purpose is and our identity. Because what happens when you no longer have the job? What happens if your kids aren't in your life, if that's your purpose? What happens if whatever it is, what happens if the materialistic or substance things in your life are no longer there? You got to find what your purpose is to be able to power through the rest of life when you don't have those things to rely on. We don't have that title to your name. So what is your purpose and what is your identity? Purpose tends to be why I exist. Identity is who am I? Something to ponder, something to think about. I try to get a little deep with these conversations and these videos, try to make people get a little uncomfortable so they do start looking more inward. Because I know through my own experience that once I started looking inward and I really started feeling the emotions that every human being feels, I started being able to map out who I am and why I exist, the real meaning, the real definition to those purpose and identity questions. I started figuring out, and it brought more peace to my life and more peace to my relationship with my wife. So that's what I got for today. Ponder it, think about it, put some comments down, share the video, whatever. I'm going to try to get better doing these things, as a lot of you know are busy, especially this month in March. So I'm going to do my best to put out as many videos as I can, short, roughly 10-minute videos, no big deal. So like the video, do whatever, and hopefully I'll be back in a couple of days with another one. Thanks, guys.